back, listeners, to the Mindful Living podcast. I'm your host, Sana, and this is the space where we are today talking about something really, really interesting yet necessary. Now, listeners, have you ever felt like your body was feeling you and no one had answers? Listeners, today's guest has been to the edge of science and back, literally. He was building robots for NASA before chronic illness rerouted his mission. And that's where his second act began. Now, listeners, I'm talking about Greg Lee, a man who went from outer space engineering to inner space healing, founder of the Lyme Research and Healing Center and developer of the GoodbyeLyme system. Greg is proof that rock bottom can actually be the launch pad. So if you or someone you love has battled chronic illness or felt invisible inside the medical system, this conversation might be the turning point you didn't know you needed. So let's dive in. And Greg, I am beyond honored and excited to have you here with us.
That was an amazing intro. Thank you so much, Santa. I love how you phrase that. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And I'm so excited because not only this planet, I mean, you have seen the core, the maths, the physics, everything involved, what goes in building systems that explore the the space, the outer, the universe, the cosmos. So that is absolutely exciting. And then from there to the inner cosmos within us. So this is unexpected, as it is powerful as well. So what was the moment, Greg, you realized that traditional medicine, it wasn't going to solve your health or your loved ones?
I was a manager in robotics lab at NASA, and it was, a lot of long hours. We were prepping for experiments with astronauts up in space to control robots in our lab, and it was a lot of like deadlines and long hours. And I had these like gut problems. Like we had to have like bloating and pain and cramping and I was like, I thought it would go away, but it didn't. And then I went to a doctor and he goes, "Oh, you got irritable bowel, take this medication." And so I took the medication and it gave me such bad brain fog. Like I couldn't think, I couldn't work. And I was just like, oh no. And I fell behind on some projects. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose everything. It was really like the
Mhm.
lowest point of my life. I was losing sleep, I was anxious, and I didn't know what to do. Fortunately,
Mhm.
a colleague of mine suggested, "Why don't you try acupuncture?" And I was like, "I got nothing to lose." My uncle, he used to work for the government. He used to take bees and sting his arthritis. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you are nuts. I would never do that." And then I was just like, now I'm dealing with my own health issues. I'm like, "Hey, maybe he wasn't so nuts after all." And so I
Mhm.
got acupuncture, took remedies, changed my diet, and got better rest and took better care of myself. And within a couple months, most of my symptoms got better. And I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I was so grateful to my acupuncturist, went back to work, didn't think anything of it. And then the symptoms started to come back a year later. And I was like, no. And so I decided, hey, it's too much stress or something. And it hit me. I needed to make a change, and that was to go help other people to heal, like my acupuncturist helped me. So I gave up being a manager in this great robotics lab and studied acupuncture, herbal medicine, and have been blessed, really blessed to help people through their health challenges, their chronic infections, their pains, and all these difficult challenges that come in our clinic.
Hmm. Well, that's quite a journey, Greg. High achiever, high performer, completely lost into, it was kind of an, you were just automated, just completely lost. But then, of course, with sometimes, when system fails us, it really kind of pushes us to do a bit of self introspection, try to understand, find a deeper meaning. that what's wrong with us. And do you think, Greg, that because right now most of us, it's common nowadays that many of us have gut issues. Our nervous systems are not balanced. Our circadian rhythms are out of balance. We are not exposed much to, at least proper amount of sunlight, and let alone the food, water, and everything. And then, the healthcare system, it's mostly, pills and medicines that kind of suppress the symptoms. So do you think it's all because of the lifestyle, or this is how our body reacts, when we don't listen to it?
There's so many factors, including, how we're raised, how we care, how we look at ourselves, how we love ourselves, or in here, I was raised, in the US, to value what I accomplish and what I'm able to learn, what I'm able to, it wasn't about my own intrinsic value. And it
Mm,
really take going through that healing crisis, and then having one of the things that really helped me was Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey, and using that as a model for my own, like, learning to deal with my health and getting all this new wisdom, and then coming out the other end, and then being there ready to help others on their healing journey. So that was one of my biggest guideposts. And then also working with people who are familiar with that, and they really helped me,
mm.
like my acupuncturist and other people in the, like, a men's community and a healers community and acupuncturists. And so that was, I was blessed to have so many people around that helped me.
That's really good, Greg. And talking about acupuncture, something that really piques my interest in acupuncture is that it kind of identifies where your nerves, they have this points where it's kind of locked. The flow is kind of if it's stuck. I mean, am I getting it right, or that is something else? I mean, is it something else that works in acupuncture and it helps us relieve that pain from inside out?
Well, there's like in the different medical writings, there's kind of like three, like, progressions of how people look at healing in Chinese medicine. There's like, you can deal with symptoms. And then the next level is to help people on a building up their inner strength, what's called their constitution. And then
Mhm.
the third level is called the enlightened level, where it's like describing people, healers that immediately know what's going on. You might know of it as like medical intuitives now, and they're able to help heal people that before they take any medicine or before they get any acupuncture. So it's more, that is the kind of level of healing that I'm aspiring to, is through that enlightened level and helping patients heal more quickly, using those kinds of methods.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Now, talking about your Goodbye Lyme system, right? It blends herbal therapies with advanced diagnostic scanning. Kind of. It's an intersection, or a blend of medical science with the energy, the healing systems, therapies that we have. So, for someone who is unfamiliar, including myself, what exactly does the scanning it reveal that standard labs might miss?
So the scan we use was actually developed to help autism spectrum patients. Now, many of them are nonverbal, and so it's very hard to understand, like, what's going on with them. And this scan was developed by a colleague of mine to look at what's going on in their immune system, what's going on in their brain, what's going on with them emotionally, what's going on with their ability to detox and drain inflammation, all these different systems of the body. But also on a, like, a spiritual level, what's their relationship with their higher power, their divine? Are they arguing? Are they, collapsed? Are they feeling abandoned, and then how helping people, once we understand those deeper issues, helping them heal on a body, on a mind, emotional, and also at a spiritual level.
Hmm. But does this take a lot of time, Greg? The scanning and trying to understand the root cause in there, because chronic illness, it might mostly will we look for quicker fixes, because every moment becomes really painful. When we have chronic illness or something like that.
So, when we have an intake appointment with a patient, it's actually 5 hours long. And the first 2 hours are the scan. We're actually looking over 1,000 different infections, toxins, inflammatory compounds, neurotransmitters, what's going on in the brain, what's going on in the gut, what's going on with the immune system, what's going on with all these different issues that we see over and over again in our patients with these chronic infections like Lyme disease and co-infections and mold and parasites. And I have one of my patients, he went to this top institution that's only an hour away from here. He went there 37 times over a 10-year period and got multiple diagnoses, multiple medications, and he still struggled with severe brain fog and fatigue and chronic pain and inflammation. And when he came to us, he was basically says, "I wanna give up. I don't wanna live anymore because he couldn't do what he wanted to do." He owned a business. His wife was saying, "Well, let's try this place. Let's go see Greg, and we'll see what he finds." And in our
Okay.
scan, we found 3 things that this top medical institution missed, a mold in his sinuses, a bacterial infection in his gut, and also a tick-borne infection, called brucellosis in his whole system. And, given that he'd suffered for 10 years, he had a lot of challenges. He had a lot of doubt. He had a lot of feeling gaslit by medical providers. And so we work with him in a very intense way, doing things like hydrogen therapy, where he's inhaling
Mm.
hydrogen, getting his brain cleaned out, something called frequency specific microcurrent. We're using actually electrical frequencies. This is kind of like my NASA brain going in and saying, okay, let's zap the toxins, let's zap the inflammation. How do we do that? This great system that we use it's FDA approved for pain relief and also has frequencies for fighting infections and repairing and regeneration damage. And then this is like these different layers we're dealing with that we find in our scan, and then using these customized remedies and treatments. We use things with lasers to deliver healing frequencies into the patient. We use medicines like herbs and essential oils and supplements, bee venom, and also things called peptides. So we have a very big library of remedies and treatments that we use to really help patients get better, recover more quickly, heal not only the body of their infections, but also their emotions, and also helpfully help them to have a deeper connection with that more enlightened level, that divine connection that they have.
Wow. The interesting part here is, as you mentioned, you personally also had this a bit of skepticism initially, when you heard that, you know, uh, even the bee venom, bee stings, it can also kind of be a very effective cure in there. So, do you receive skepticism, either from the traditional healthcare systems, or people that okay, how can alternative therapies or herbs and essential oils, how can they cure my chronic disease, my chronic illness? And kind of, it's woo woo. So, how do you tackle or maybe help answer those questions?
So, a lot of our patients see other doctors, medical providers, Lyme disease specialists, and it's usually they're busy, and what gets their attention is like I work with a patient they've been working with for many years, And all of a sudden, they have more energy, or all of a sudden, their brain works better. They're all of a sudden, they're able to become more of a parent, or go back to work, or drive a car. And they call me up and they say, "What are you doing?" Or they'll pull me aside at a conference and say, "How did you help this person?" Like, we had one college student, and his Lyme doc referred him to us, and basically, he was treated with antibiotics, and he had a relapse, and basically, he couldn't go to college, his brain fog was really bad, and basically, he had to live at home, and so he came down, we did our scan, we found that he had an infection in his brain called Babesia. It's like malaria, and it's a tick-borne infection, and that was
Okay.
creating all sorts of disharmony and messing his energy up in his brain. And he was one of the first patients we actually, when we got his ability to detox, got his ability to drain inflammation out of his brain, we actually had him do nasal delivered bee venom. Because when you do things in the nasal passage, they can go right up the olfactory nerve, then go into the lymphatics and bee venom has anti-Lyme, anti-mycoplasma, and anti-malarial properties. It hasn't been researched with Babesia, but Babesia and malaria are like very close cousins. So we thought, okay, this infection in your brain is really stopping you. We need to, like, get it out of there. He has this huge, like, flare up of symptoms of swelling, and he's, like, disoriented, and I'm looking at him because he has a 3.5 hour drive right after treatment. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." Like, when you have the 20-year-olds, they're like, I can do anything. I'm fine." So, his biggest issue when he came to us was he had no short-term memory. He couldn't remember anything, but the kid was brilliant. I mean, this kid was like Einstein brilliant. And so on the ride home, he gets a call from a friend from college, and he's talking to him, and he gets off the phone, calls me up, and he goes like, "Hey, I just talked to blah, blah, blah from college. I'm remembering things for the first time in 3 years. Thanks." So instead of now living at home, he's graduated with an engineering degree, he has a family, and he's happy, and his brain works, his memory works. And so that's those kinds of things that we can determine either through our scan and then our customized treatments like BVEN.
That is awesome. That is awesome, Greg. Oh, so it's really, it feels definitely like breath, that first breath after you are about to drown, that you are able to do your basic daily chores properly, because brain fog and not even able to do the basic activities can really feel very, very depressing, or demotivated. So that's a really uplifting story that you shared.
Yeah, and we've been blessed to treat over 1,000 patients, and most of them with chronic infections, and it's just such a great feeling. It feels like miracles happen with our patients in terms of them getting this huge improvement, this huge uh, recovery, and I just feel very blessed here. And so what we're looking at is really helping by training 1,000 medical providers on
Mm.
what we do. And we have an online community called Heal for Real that is available to people who are interested in these advanced therapies and remedies for healing these chronic infections. And that's something that I'm happy to share. It's also available through our website, lymeresearchcenter.com. And
Mhm.
it is where we do weekly trainings. We talk about this is what's working in the clinic. This is what's right now. We're talking about oral infections and how people can have like this severe burning pain in their mouth that doesn't respond to medications or other remedies or herbs. And we find that we need like these remedy tissue delivery enhancers, we use one called DMSO, which is basically the sulfur molecule that takes remedies deeper into the tissues, like from the mouth, it'll take it right into the jaw and get to these deeply held infections. And with this one patient, she struggled for 12 years with burning pain. I mean, I can't even imagine having burning pain for 12 years in your mouth and your tongue. And she would go to all these practitioners and she'd say, "Well, they got me like 3 or 4% better." And now, after working with her for about 6 months, doing homeopathics and herbals, these delivery enhancers, she reports being 95% better.
That is awesome. That is awesome, Greg. Lovely, lovely. And if our listeners they would like to connect with you, Greg, what would be the best way?
Well, we're here in the US and we can give us a call. The country code's 1 and our phone number is 301-228-3764. Also, we're at the Lyme Research and Healing Center.com or lymeresearchcenter.com. And you can reach us there at our website. And also, you can email us at gregl@goodbyelyme.com. And we'd be happy to answer questions about people who have tried everything under the sun, yet they're still struggling. They're still feeling like they're fighting, and it's something that their doctors or their healthcare providers haven't been able to identify. We get a lot of these medical mystery patients, and it's amazing just what we can find in a short 2-hour scan. In terms of the stealth infections, the detoxification blocks, look at genetics, and it's been huge. Like I just worked with a woman, like
Mhm.
she's a cancer researcher, and she
Okay.
does access to some of the top medical diagnostic facilities and cutting edge tools, yet she couldn't get her gut healed. And then we treated her and we scanned her, and it's like she comes in and she's like, "After your treatments, my gut is better, so much better, like a week. I can't believe it. With all this stuff I have access to, and what you're doing is just knocking it out of the park."
Lovely. Lovely, Greg. I mean, all these success stories, I believe they really give us a great deal of, at least interest and positivity to look into this. And I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes. And Greg, um, I think, you have redefined what's possible when the system says no. So, whether it's battling chronic illness, burnout, or maybe just trying to understand our own body signals, I think the hidden world inside us is more knowable than we think. So, thank you so much.
Oh, it's been a great honor. I just love your questions, and I look forward to, helping your members. And we're very excited. And what I want to offer is a offer of a free training. We do weekly trainings. I want to give your listeners a free training that they can view at lymeresearchcenter.com/mindful, and you can stick those in the notes. And in there, we'll have our latest training that we offer every month. And this is a gift that I just want to give to your listeners for being on here today.
That is lovely. That is lovely and then generous, Greg. I'll make sure to have the details of the gift there for our listeners. And thank you so much once again, Greg. This was amazing. This was really interesting and really groundbreaking as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel very happy to have meet you and to share with these things with you so much.
Ah, to all the listeners out there, you know what, listeners, I think you don't have to be an engineer or healer to start listening more closely. You just need one thing, which is a reason to try again. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Mindful Living, listeners. If this episode sparked something, hit follow, share it with someone walking through their own healing journey, and don't forget to refer to the show notes to get to connect with Craig and also to get access to his gift. Until next time, be gentle, be curious, and stay human. Thank you.